So a tagline of Teachappy is that happier children learn better and happier teachers teach better. And it's kind of drawing on evidence that generally shows that children with higher levels of wellbeing tend to do better in school. It's a two-way relationship. Generally children with high levels of wellbeing tend to perform better on standardized tests, but equally as children are doing better in school, they feel better about themselves. And the same with teachers. And I'm sure you'll know this as, big focus of your work is about the joy of work. That there's research that shows that happier employees tend to be more productive, have less time off sick, more creative, etc. But I was really kind of taken aback, or my attention was grabbed by this quote from a sports coach in your book. And he says that happy kids don't make great sports people, in my opinion, because there's a big focus in your book about elite athletes. So why is it the case that maybe in terms of being a super kind of elite athlete, that being maybe a happy, well-adjusted child is not necessarily the best route to kind of being at the top of your game in terms of being an athlete?
Yeah, so I think your broad direction is exactly right. And, there's something unique about, I think at the most recent Olympics, there are about 310 gold medals awarded. And, out of a population of 8 or 9 billion people, you're going to expect that the people who prevail aren't just quite good. There's something special about them. And to understand that, UK Sport did this really intriguing piece of work. Actually, what we're going to get down to is the part that identity plays in terms of elite performance. They did this piece of work. UK Sport were getting, in the run up to the 2012 Olympics, they were getting more money from government. And so, the critical thing from their perspective was, if we're going to get more money, our budget's going to double and then double again. We need to demonstrate that we achieved something with it. And so they went back to first principles and they said, they asked a group of academics to study for them what things correlated with winning a gold medal. So they called gold medalists super elite athletes. These people who went to Commonwealth Games or Olympic Games, whatever, World Athletics Championships, they came back with a gold medal. They took 16 of these people. They said that these people, even though the survey is anonymized, these people are household names. They could definitely end up doing 3 weeks in the jungle at Christmas. They could definitely sort of carry an ITV show. And so these are big household names. And they compared them to 16 athletes who maybe got the same funding, went to games, but didn't come back with a gold medal. And what they found was there was one fundamental difference between them. All of them reported being sort of selfish, to the point of being obsessive, very focused on their achievement in their sport above friends, above family, to the extent that, one of them finished with his partner so he could focus on training, a good relationship, but focused on training, like they're obsessive. But interestingly, all 16 of them had a significant moment of childhood trauma. Now, it's really sort of interesting to look at that, because it's really important. Most of us are understanding more and more about trauma and the impact. And it's really clear to say trauma does not correlate with success. Your instinct that happiness correlates with success is more right. But what you find in these individuals is that trauma can produce a number of different responses. In most people, it's experienced as shame. It's experienced as something that they're embarrassed about, which is tragic, but that's just the way that trauma is experienced. In these rare freak athletes, they were not only experiencing trauma, but they were supremely talented at sport. And, the testimony of people like Kelly Holmes gives you a pointer. Kelly Holmes was, she never knew her father, which is one of the adverse childhood experiences index, a missing parent. She was then put in a children's home, and she's experienced quite significant bullying at school. So she's, she very evidently had a traumatized experience. But what she says is that sport became her identity. She felt embarrassed about who she was. She experienced racist abuse at school, and yet sport just became this redemptive part of her life. And while for a lot of people, trauma can correlate with addiction, actually, it can correlate with sort of remedial behaviors. What you find is, in this case, she became addicted to sport. Sport became like the redemption sequence of her life. And so when you look at people like Mo Farah, Mo Farah's story, actually, when I was researching my book, I was trying to see if there was anything that had gone wrong in Mo Farah's life. And I think he was born in Mogadishu. He came to the UK. It just looked like a story of triumphant immigration. In fact, now we learn that he was a victim of human trafficking and modern slavery. And now his story makes sense, because there's no reason why someone who has that misfortune should experience it as shame, but almost always it is. And so what you find is these people, it turns out he's a really good runner. He's going to prove everyone wrong. He's going to prove that he triumphs. And that's what you generally observe. So I think broadly what you'd say is, yes, happy kids perform better on average. There are these very rare freak occurrences, like 300 out of 9 billion, who actually having these bad things happen to them, their identity becomes something that's redemptive for them. So it's just an illustration of the importance of identity, but also shows how complicated this stuff is, really.
Yeah, fascinating. I kind of jotted down when I read that section, happy kids don't make great sports people, in my opinion. I was thinking, okay, what might be the characteristics of children that are generally happier, where they might not feel driven to kind of be a super elite athlete? And I've just, in the margin, I just put, are they able to see the bigger picture? Winning doesn't matter as much to them. They've got, their friends and family might be more important than, having to sacrifice everything. They might be better able to find balance in their lives, and rather than become obsessive about something, actually, they've got a few things that they're interested in. Find it easier to let go if they lose. Yeah. Maybe they're more comfortable with that. Whereas, it's just, it's really fascinating to kind of think about.
These exactly that. There's a testimony of one of the people in the study that I quote, who says, one of his athletes came to the end of a cycle, gone to the Olympic Games, hadn't won anything, and she said, look, I've got other stuff in my life. I've really enjoyed, what an honor it is to have represented my country, but now I want to go on and fulfill the other dreams. And exactly that, it's just a sense of balance. It's a sense that, my whole self-esteem isn't taken up by the idea that I need to win something to prove people wrong, really.